What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon. I am back with you. This is going to be my recap of the Texans game. So I got a lot I want to say. I got a lot to talk about, both about the game and about the season and the team and stuff in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blow through real quick all of the stats and stuff from the game. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into, my shit, because I got shit to talk about. Anyway, so here we go. First off, obviously it was a disappointing loss there in Texas, in Houston, to the Texans. We lost 42-23. Total yards, we had 370, they had 427. Passing yards, we had 254, they had 239. Rushing yards, we had 116, they had 188. Yards per play, they had 5.7, we had 7.8. We threw one interception, that was it. They didn't throw any, no fumbles at all. We were 30% on third downs. They were 50%. We had the ball for 28 minutes, 51 seconds. They had it for 31 minutes, 9 seconds. We had 5 penalties. They had 8. Brock Osweiler was 21 for 37, 56.8% of his throws, 241 yards, 1 interception, and a 65.3 passer rating. And then, of course, Danny Amendola also had that 1 touchdown throw to Kenyon Drake. So, whatever. Anyway, and then Deshaun Watson was 16 for 20, 80%, 239 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 156 passer rating. Rushing leaders for us, Kenyon Drake had 12 rushes, 58 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 4.8 average. Frank Gore had 12 rushes, 53 yards, and a 4.4 average. For them, Lamar Miller had 18 rushes for 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 7.4 average. And Alfred Blue had 15 rushes for 42 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 2.8 average. Receiving, Devontae Parker led the way for us, 6 out of 9 for 134 yards. Danny Amendola was 5 of 6 for 43 yards. Kenyon Drake was 2 for 2. 37 yards and a touchdown. Jakeem Grant was 4 for 8, 36 yards. Mike Gesicki was 4 for 5, 14 yards. For them, Will Fuller was 5 of 6 for 124 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 6 of 7, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Jordan Thomas, 4 for 4, 29 yards, 2 touchdowns. Defensive statistics, Raekwon McMillan led the way for us, 7 solo, 2 assists. Cam Wake had 5 solo, 1 assist. Kiko Alonso, 4 solo, 5 assists. Bobby McCain, 4 solo tackles. Rashad Jones, 3 solo, 2 assisted with 1 tackle for loss. Akeem Spence had 2 solo, 1 assisted, 1 tackle for loss. And Andre Branch had 2 assisted tackles with a pass defense. For them, Kareem Jackson led the way, 7 solo, 2 assisted, 1 tackle for loss. Tyrann Mathieu, 6 solo, 1 assisted, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Benardrick McKinney, 6 solo, 1 assisted, 2 passes defense. Justin Reed, 4 solo, 4 assisted, 1 interception, 2 passes defense. J.J. Watt was 3 solo, 1 assisted, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 pass defense. Natrell Jamerson, 3 solo and 1 pass defense, and Angelo Blackson, 1 solo tackle and 1 pass defense. In the kicking game, Jason Sanders was good on all 3 of his field goals, along with 46 and 2 for 2 on his extra points. Kaimi Fairbairn didn't kick any field goals, but he was 6 for 6 on his extra points. Matt Hawk had 4 punts, 47-yard average, 3 inside the 20 with a long of 60. Trevor Daniel had 5 punts, a 42.2 average, 1 inside the 20 with a long of 53. Kickoff returns, excuse me. Sonoris Perry had 3 returns for 26.7 yards, average with a long of 32. They didn't have any kickoff returns. And punt returns, Jakeem Grant had 2 with a 14.5 average, a long of 21. And for them, Tyler Irvin had 1 with an average of 13 and obviously a long of 13. So there's the stats, statistics, blah, 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 the breakdown of the game in that way. So now let me get into, my evaluation. First and foremost, I want to say that I've said it, you know, I said it after the last game. The theme of this season has been injuries and penalties. In this game, it's actually more penalties that weren't called. I'm not putting them in here, but if you guys want me to, because, you know, I know how people feel, I know how they think, they start getting into, oh, you're just blaming the refs. But ironically enough, there was actually a ref fired just a couple days ago because of bad officiating. And there was tons of bad officiating, but I'm fair about it. In fact, the first touchdown we got, we were about to kick a field goal, and there was a bull. It was basically contacting the head and neck area of the center, of the long snapper, and it was a bull call, but it gave us the first down, and we got a touchdown. Okay, fair point, right? So, but there were a ton of penalties that even the commentators, you know, talked about. You know, they even said it when it happened. They did the replays. I was going to say, if you guys want me to, I can give you a cut-up of all of the bad calls in this game. Look, I mean, the officiating is a huge problem. It's a huge problem. So, you know, and like I said, they just fired an official for blatant missed calls. So real quick, I'll name you, and I haven't even gone back and looked at the film yet, but I'll go ahead and name you 4 plays off the top of my head, 3 of which were talked about specifically by the commentators even though the commentators were clearly biased towards Houston, which is fine, whatever, that commentators usually are biased, at least a little bit, anyway, to the home team, right? So, anyway, one, there was a blatant, this is the one that was not talked about, the commentators, but it was blatant. There was a blatant horse collar tackle on Jakeem Grant, didn't get called. There was a blatant face mask by one of the Houston defenders on Kenyon Drake, didn't get called. On one of our kickoff returns, or I guess it was a punt return, actually, because it was Jakeem Grant that was returning it. One of their defending guys just straight up kicks Jakeem Grant in the leg. Super obvious, way out in the open. There's no way they could have missed it. Didn't call it, no flag. And then all those are important, but then one that was super important, the one that Brock Osweiler threw the interception on that gave him the short field, super short field that gave him their second touchdown. There was a super blatant out in the open hold against Danny Amendola, and first of all, if that didn't happen, then Amendola would have been in his place like he should have been. Brock Osweiler threw the pass where he's supposed to throw it, how he was supposed to throw it, so on and so forth. Everything was good up until that point. It would have been a big play. It would have been all good. But since there was such a blatant hold, a blatant penalty, he wasn't where he was supposed to be, and therefore it gave oh man, I forgot who got the interception now off the top of my head, but it gave them the opportunity to jump in. It was a safety, I think, to jump in and get the interception and run it back almost for the touchdown, get it close, right? But they didn't call that. The refs didn't call it. No flag whatsoever. If they would have thrown the flag, it would have taken away that interception. They wouldn't have had that second touchdown, and we would have marched down the field because the offense was actually playing pretty well. Devontae Parker balled out, right? So penalties were a huge problem in this game, and as they've been all year, and not just for us. Again, I gave you the one play where, and there were some other ones. You know, some of their penalties weren't good calls, but that was a big one. That was an important one that set us up for our first touchdown. So I'm being fair, okay, right? So officiating is fucking terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible, right? And besides that, real quick, just a side note, the NFL doesn't give a shit about player safety. And this applies to the rules too, because they make these crazy convoluted bullshit rules that they say are for player safety. But why do they still have Thursday night games when they're notorious for injuries? The Texans thankfully we didn't have a whole, injuries. We had them all last week and have had them all throughout the season so far. But the Texans were losing people left and right. It's all for the money. That's all they care about. They just want the money. So they're not going to get rid of the Thursday games, even though short weeks, people are getting hurt like crazy. So they don't give a shit about that, right? So, but it applies to the penalty thing, because they have these rules that are super, and this is part of the reason why the penalties are so bad, because they have these super convoluted rules, and then they have officials that are not trained properly. And how do you even interpret in a split second these stupid convoluted rules that are, some of them are basically impossible to follow? So one of the main problems is that the NFL needs to get their fucking rules right and get their heads out of their ass and stop being such, corporate, corrupt, capitalist motherfuckers trying to always, worry about their dollar instead of, actual player safety and, a good quality game. So there's that. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a little passionate today about these things, because I've been hearing some things that people have been talking about. And look, one of the things that frustrates me with people in general and I'm passionate right now, but my emotions are controlled. So I want that to be clear for what I'm about to say, right? Because a lot of people, and I'm not saying I'm never guilty of it. I absolutely am guilty of it. When I punched my front door and I, fractured my hand a little bit, I was definitely guilty of losing control of my emotions. My point is, though, is that people allow their emotions to cloud their judgment, their reason, and therefore are incapable of seeing the reality of the situation and what the problems actually are, right? So the problems, part of it is the corrupt corporatist mentality of the NFL, and putting out all these stupid rules and shit that don't make any sense, that they can't follow, right? That it's impossible to follow. Like the landing on the quarterback rule. How do you follow that rule? Come on, really? William Hayes, there you go. He's injured, out for the year because of that stupid rule. Then you don't train your officials properly. It's the same thing. That's one of the same faults that you have with law enforcement these days, is they're not trained properly. That's a whole nother topic. I'm not getting into that. I'm just making simple comparisons, right? So my point is the training is not bad, or is bad. It's terrible, right? So you have bad training mixed with convoluted, unclear, impossible to follow rules. Of course you're going to have terrible officiating. It's inevitable, right? So I don't necessarily think it's on the refs, but of course, the NFL is going to use them as scapegoats. They're going to be like, oh, these refs suck. But I do think it is, it's not coincidental that a ref did just get fired, and I don't know enough about that situation to speak intelligently on it, whether or not he was a bad ref. But I'm saying that's not the root problem. It's the training and the rules themselves. Now, let's get to injuries. Okay, so here's the thing, right? First and foremost, again, I'm going to run through this real quick. Before the year even started, Jake Brendel, Mike Hull, and Marquise Gray all went on injured reserve. Jake Brendel, Mike Hull, they're coming back. We know that. So, okay, that's kind of a wash. But we did lose them for the first half of the year, and they were prominent players in their roles. Okay? Marquise Gray, that was a pretty big loss. Then we have William Hayes go on injured reserve. Josh Sitton, Daniel Kilgore, Chase Allen, Albert Wilson, all key players. Our offensive line gets decimated. Our wide receivers start getting decimated, right? Our defensive line starts getting decimated. So here's the thing. It's not, and then of course as of right now you have Tannehill, our starting quarterback, as well as Kenny Stills and Charles Harris that were out for this game because of injuries. So you have all those guys on injured reserve. Then you have these guys that are currently injured, and then you also throw into it, because you have to take in all factors, is that you have guys that are out there playing like Cam Wake, Bobby McCain, Andre Branch, right? Jakeem Grant, Mike Gesicki. All these guys are banged up, so they're not playing at full throttle. They're not all at 100%. They're all, super banged up, right? That plays a role into things, okay? And then, so for the defense, I admit the defense was bad this game, really bad last game. But I think that it has a lot to do, I think it has a lot more to do with, let's say, the injuries than, let's say, Matt Burke's play calling, right? So I know I think differently than most people. Most people don't agree with me on a lot of things. It's fine, whatever. But I like to stick to just facts, logic, and reason, right? So logically, it's telling me what I'm seeing is that this defense is just gassed. At this point, it's halfway through the season. It sucks, but this defense is gassed. Why? Because of all the injuries that have happened to them. Not only that, but also because there have been a ton of bullshit calls that have kept our defense on the field and have just worn them out. And then, you got guys playing at like half speed, 60%, 70%. And then on top of that, you then throw in the other factor of how the offense hasn't done anything really in a lot of ways, especially earlier on in the season. And so, that keeps the defense on the field. The defense is worn out, man. They are tired. They need a break. So, but hopefully, going through this mini bye, will allow them to, get some rest. Our bye week is coming up, whatever. So, anyway, my point though with that is I think that there's other factors than just like the play calling, because I know everybody now, all these people now are like headhunting for Matt Burke or for people to get fired. Calm down. So one way in which I am pretty sure most people don't agree with me is that with a coaching, in my opinion, when you bring in a coaching staff, you need to give them at least 5 years. People are going to look at me and be like, dude, you're crazy. But no, it is important. Why? Because for one, you need to give them an opportunity to get the coaching staff, build up the coaching staff that they want around them. You got to get the players right? You got to get the players in the building that you want. You got to make sure, you got to take some time to get your cap situation regulated and in a good place. You got to make sure that you build that chemistry, that cohesion. You don't want changeover so quickly all the time. It's chaotic, and all it does is create more chaos. I don't understand why people don't understand that. Right? You got to give them time. So, I'm going to call out one of the other podcasters a little bit on this, K-Flexin, right? He's sitting there, because I saw some of his comments, he's advocating, and even, Dougly Do-Wrong. I mean, I like him. Personally, if I'm being honest, K-Flexin annoys me a little bit. I think he's a little too boisterous. I think he's just a little too loud, and I think he gets a little too crazy, just generally speaking. That's just my opinion. He's got good content, I'll give him that, and he makes good videos. I just think his personality doesn't quite vibe with mine. That's fine, it doesn't matter. We don't vibe with everybody. Dougly Do-Wrong, I love him, he's a cool dude. I'd hang with him, I'd have a beer with him and stuff, but even he thinks that, somebody needs to get fired and Devontae Parker needs to get traded and stuff. No. See, I disagree with that. Anyway, getting back to what I'm saying, they need time. They need to be able to build that chemistry and that culture, right? You can't just fucking fire everybody every time you get emotional over something. Like, people need to chill out. That is not the answer. This coaching staff needs time to build that culture, to build that cohesion, to build that chemistry. Culture, cohesion, chemistry. 3 C's. Okay? You can't have that if you're constantly turning over all the time. Right? There used to be a time in the NFL where coaching staffs and teams were together. It was pre-free agency, and stuff like that. But coaching staffs and teams, players were together for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. You don't see that anymore. Why? Because all it's become is a game of money and winning. And I get that. We want to win, but people again get far too emotional and then allow their emotions to overcome and cloud their judgment, and then they don't apply logic and reason. That is the problem. I love emotions. I'm a very emotional person, and I think they're a super important part of human beings. But I hate how people, and like I said, I am not perfect. I do this occasionally myself, but I try and be aware of it and control it on a regular basis. I work on it all the time. I'm conscious of it all the time, right? but people far too often just allow their emotions to run wild with them. They lose control, and when that happens, when emotions take over, logic and reason goes out the window. People can try and argue that as much as they want, but when your emotions take over, when you've crossed that line where you are no longer in control of them and they are in control of you, logic and reason goes out the window. And when that happens, people have proven in the course of, the almost 100 years of the NFL, right? You need coaching staffs to be together for a period, and front offices to be together for a period of time, right? I don't think this front office, I don't think this coaching staff is the problem. This year has been ungodly amount of injuries to so many key players, and yes, I get it, next man up mentality, step up, blah blah blah, whatever, but our depth has been decimated as well, right? So that's what I'm saying. And then the officiating has been super bad. And look, don't get me wrong, there were even bad play calls, there have been, right? I didn't particularly like the onside kick, right? But again though, first and foremost, I actually don't really have even that. I admit as a fan that I don't even really have that much room to judge that stuff because I'm not there. I'm not making the decisions. I don't have that information. It's all split second shit that needs to be decided. And, I've never been there. I've never experienced it. So I don't have a right to say personally. Everybody can have their own stance on that. And I know a lot of people like to think that they're, couch GMs and couch head coaches and stuff. They want to sit there and talk about how, oh, well, I know better and they should do this, that, and the other. I mean, I say things that I think they should do, but I admit that, I don't know everything. I'm not even close to having anywhere near the information that they have. So, it's just simply my opinion, and what I think. But, I definitely don't think that this coaching staff needs to get fired. I don't think Devontae Parker needs to get traded. Honestly, I am in the boat that I understand him being healthy is a big thing, and he has just a super hard time being healthy. But if he can be healthy, he can contribute like he did in this last game, like we've seen in the past. And we need a receiver like him. I think he can add a dynamic element to this core, and especially going into next year once we get our offensive line back and our receivers back and stuff like that. But anyway. Look, my point is that I just don't think people need to be going so nuclear. Like, calm down. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And please, let's temper our emotions and let's actually evaluate and see the real reasons why these things are happening. And again, like I said, there were definitely breakdowns in the secondary, miscommunications, absolutely. But I think here's the thing. While I personally believe that it is important to take those things into account, right? You absolutely have to recognize and be realistic when you see blown coverages. I agree with that, and I admit to that. There were those. You have to admit when there's bad play calling. I do that. I think that it was a bad idea to do that onside kick. That gave him a touchdown, right? I don't think they should have made that call. Right? I'm fair about that. I'm fair when, our guys commit penalties and it's legit. I've said it, right? But as much as you have to take those factors into account, you also have to take the other factors into account. And that's another one of my frustrations with people in general, is that they pick and choose the factors that they want to evaluate, but that doesn't make any sense, right? Just think of it simply like it's a math equation, right? Because whether you choose to ignore certain factors or not, you're choosing to ignore them, but that doesn't change the fact that they exist and that they played a role and a part into the outcome, right? So the injuries and the fact that they're playing at like 60%, a lot of these players, that stuff matters. The officiating does matter. It absolutely matters. They are factors that affected the outcome. That is logic, that is reason, that is right. So let us all temper our emotions, guys, and let's just, come back down to earth. Let's evaluate things properly. Let's use the facts, the data, and the information. I agree that the team needs to tighten up. I agree that they need the next man up mentality. I agree that there was bad play calling and blown coverages and blah, blah, blah. I agree with all that. But I also agree with all that other information. And so my point is we don't need to be going so nuclear. We don't need to be taking people to the guillotine and being like, off with their head. It's temper the chaos, man. Let's stop going straight to the anger and the hate and the let's fire these people and let's stop, please. I'm asking you guys, let's just calm down, okay? Let's take a deep breath and let's move on. So anyway, I've said all I really need to say about all of that. I gave you the stats, the information. I gave you my breakdown and why I think the game went the way it did. It was multiple factors. It wasn't just the officiating. It wasn't just, you know, the lack of calls, right? It was also because there were blown coverages and a couple you know, play calls that I personally didn't agree with, that I think, you know, led to part of the outcome, right? So it's all that. But let's come back down to earth. What needs to happen from here, okay, is it's halfway through the season. I know everything seems really bleak right now, and you know that, oh, everybody in the national media was right and blah 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 blah. But first and foremost, I do real quick want to say there's no way possible that Vegas or the national media could factor in the injuries that we've had into their preseason predictions, nor could they, or in as far as the officiating goes, do they care to factor that in, because the NFL doesn't really care to address it properly, and most people don't even look at it properly. But anyway, so whatever. What needs to happen, this team needs to just hit a reset. Okay, it's midway through the season. We're about to get this mini bye. We do have our bye coming up in a couple weeks. We do have a couple tough games in between that, but we just need to hit a reset button. They just need to calm down. They just need to refocus, man. And honestly, I mean, that's the big thing. There's obviously a lot of other things that go into it. They need to get to fundamentals. They need to you know, have tighter coverage. They need to get better at the run. They need to get healthy. You know, we need guys to get back from injury. We need Kenny Stills back. We need, you know, we just need people to get healthy, right? Tannehill. We need McCain and Wake and everybody who's not playing at 100% to get there. Or, you know, as close as humanly possible, and then just fucking rip and roar, right? So, but look, we're at 4-4. It's not the worst situation to be in. I'm not, you know, Dougley Do Wrong. I watched his video. You know, he was saying that he's close to being ready to call it. You know, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And frankly, I consider myself a true diehard fan. And to me, what that means is that you support no matter what. You support unconditionally, right? It's the same concept as love. When you love somebody, you truly love somebody, you love them unconditionally, you support them no matter what, and you fight with them to solve the problems, not fight against them and make the problems worse. So it's the same thing. I will never waver. I am a true Aqua and Orange Dolphins fan, and so I will always support this team. I think that we're going to come away with this victory at home against the Jets, and we're going to right the ship, man. We're going to turn things around, and we're going to, you know, we still have an opportunity to go at least, you know, 10-6, you know, or, well, frankly, right now, we still have an opportunity to go 12-4, right? Obviously, because we have 8 games left. If we did win all of those, we would be 8-4. But, you know, we could still go 11-5. We could go 10-6. We could even go 9-7 and possibly even still make it to the playoffs. So there's, by no means is it time to say that the season is over and stuff, and I'm not gonna. Even if we get to, you know, even if somehow we lose our next 5 games, God forbid, knock on wood, whatever, I don't think that's going to happen. But even if that did, then like I said, I'm never gonna stop backing or supporting this team. Anyway, I went on you know, I hit a lot of topics very passionately, and I blazed through it. It's about half an hour video, and I still got to give you the press conferences. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. But I had a lot to say. I had a lot to address, had a lot to talk about. If you like my videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want the alerts, hit the bell, you'll get those. Please share it with your friends and family. Hit the like button, leave your questions, comments, concerns. Please, talk to me, tell me how you guys feel. I know you guys aren't shy about that. Please jump in, let me know how you guys feel. I understand that there's going to be people who disagree with me, and that's cool. We can talk about it. And, if it comes to it, we can just agree to disagree. That's not a big deal. I'm a cordial, kind of person. I like things to be amicable and to be, honest and fair and all that stuff, right? So, let's have good discourse. Let's not be all crazy. I'm not like that. So, I don't just jump to the anger and stuff like that. So, get in there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feel and all that stuff. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. My handle is on the end screen. And with that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I am out. I will see y'all soon. Fins up.
Great players, so there was a lot of schemes that we put in this week that were 6-man protections, 7-man protections. We were chipping the edges, but hey, give Houston credit. They broke through it, and they played a great game.
What were some of the issues that you guys were having, particularly on third downs tonight?
I'm going to have to go back and really evaluate the tape before I fully answer that question. Ultimately, we weren't in a rhythm. This offense really gets going when you can create first down, second down, first down, and almost avoid that third down. But once again, I give Coach Romeo Crennel great credit. Their players, I think they did a good job of mixing in some zones on third down, and that caused us a few problems. But ultimately, as players, we need to find a way to execute, get first downs, and move the chains.
This team's 4-4 now. You lost 2 straight games in a tough fashion. How do you recover and get yourselves back on the track?
Yeah, it's simple. You evaluate the tape very hard. You learn from it, and then you just get back to work. Like Coach Gase just told us in the locker room, he said we need to hone in on the details of our system, and he's exactly right. This coaching staff works extremely hard to put players in position to have success on game day. And they did that once again. Now it's up to us players to execute that game plan, all 11 at the same time, and make plays for this football team.
You got an opportunity to play with Devontae Parker, and he certainly stepped up tonight. We haven't seen him play that way this year. It certainly had to be, from your standpoint, nice to see him come and play the way he did.
It was great, and it was by no surprise. Just talking to Devontae all week, I had a feeling he was going to have a big game. He was hungry to get out there on the field, and he really showed it tonight. He made some tough catches. There were situations where some of the balls I couldn't lead him. I had to throw him on his back shoulder, things like that, and he came up with them all. So Devontae played a heck of a game, and he deserves it.
What made you feel that way that he was going to have this big game?
I kind of had a hunch. When you get talking to guys throughout the week and you can kind of see the mental mindset that they're in, the way they're carrying themselves, you could tell that he was hungry to get out there on the field and play football.
Brock, what was it like coming back to Houston? You spent one season here, but coming back, playing against some of your old teammates in the environment, Thursday night football, what was the feeling before and during the game?
There was no negative emotion or anything like that. In fact, it was just great to see a lot of guys. I had a lot of great conversations with some of the players, support staff, trainers, strength coaches. It was great to see a lot of these guys. There's so much time spent between the off-season and season. You're going out there on the field and laying it all on the line, and you build bonds with people, special bonds that are very hard to explain to anybody who's never experienced playing football in the National Football League. So to see some of those guys tonight, it was great, and they played a heck of a game.
You almost threw for your second career fumble in the NFL, but it eventually got called an incomplete pass. Can you tell us what happened on that play?
Yeah, there was just some miscommunication on where we were going to make the mic point on that play, which led to a free rusher, and it's something that I take full responsibility on, and I need to make sure that that never happens again.
Who were some of the people you spoke to after the game?
Excuse me?
Who were some of the Texas players you spoke to?
Oh, there was a bunch of guys. Nick Martin, Whitney Merciless, Kareem Jackson. There was a number of guys. JJ. It was great to see them all. And I don't want to miss anybody, but like I said, there was a laundry list of guys, and it means a lot because I have a ton of respect for those guys. Like I said, we all have great relationships, and I wish them all nothing but the best.
We missed out. Then we have a one turnover that gave him a short field, which just was not what we needed. So, I mean, really, that's what hurt us more than anything. If we wanted to get in that kind of game, we couldn't make any mistakes.
What do you tell guys in the locker room?
We got to get better fast.
Considering any changes staff-wise?
I mean, I just got done with the game that I'm fairly irritated right now. So I'm going to reevaluate everything this weekend. I mean, we got the extended weekend. We got to figure out how to get better on defense. We got to figure out how to sustain drives and put it in the end zone on offense.
With this defense, is it really just about the wear and tear or mileage that they put on them? Because right now you guys can't stop the run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to look at everything. That's about the only good thing about playing on Thursday night. It's kind of an extra bye week, so go back and this weekend try to look through everything, see kind of where a lot of the problems are. Can kind of look at it as a whole, not just one game, and try to get an answer.
What did you hope you could put Brock in position to do tonight, and how do you feel you fulfill his potential?
I think there was a lot of good that he did. I'm sure, like, we both wish we could have that interception back, just untimely for sure because of the way the game was going. We had a little miscommunication there, which was just not what we needed. But for the most part, I thought he did a good job of getting the ball out. We were trying to make sure that, JJ and Clowney didn't have a field day on us. So we thought we had a good plan with the protection. The run game was, we'd had some good plays, and we had probably too many zero or negative plays. But, I'm sure when we go back and look at this, he'll probably want a couple plays back to where maybe it could have helped us sustain the drive. But, we have to do a better job as a whole, making sure everybody's on the same page and doing things right.
So just to be sure, you're not Matt Burke's job security. That's not something that's ruled out as a topic.
I haven't even thought about that. In my head, I'm saying that, I don't see that happening. We need to go back and figure out what is going on to where we're giving up these massive amounts of yardage in the run game.
You're 4-4 at the midpoint. You started out 3-1, and now you're 1-3 in the last 4. Which team are you more closer to? Are you 3-1, or are you more closer to the 1-3?
Well, right now we're 0-1 after today. I mean, it's hard to look at it like that. I mean, we've had some changeover here in the last 2 weeks where now we kind of have to reevaluate where we're at personnel-wise. Who do we have healthy? Where do we have to make adjustments at? I think the guys did a good job. The receivers did a good job of those 3 guys knew it was going to be them, and they were going to have to play almost every play. So I thought those guys did a good job. They executed what they were, asked to do. And now we got to take a look hard at the defense and figure out, okay, where can we kind of plug the holes? How can we fix certain things and make sure we can have some more success against the run game? I don't know. I'm not even there yet. So, but I haven't heard a whole bunch of stuff. So
I know you have receivers down. They had cornerbacks down.
Mm-hmm.
Like a backup safety was playing corner, and another safety was playing corner. I'm wondering if you thought that you could take advantage of that.
Yeah, there was a couple times where we thought we did, and we didn't hook up with it. Whether it be, Brock missed a throw or we had a protection issue, The hardest part about that is that they did a good job of kind of softening up their coverage to where, you know, the protection, we were trying to make sure the protection was good so we're not getting one or two more guys out. So we're running 3-man routes, trying to give him a chance to get some completions and move the ball. There were sometimes that it was successful and sometimes it wasn't. They did a good job with what they were asking them to do. It was a little different than what we anticipated. I thought the guys did a good job adjusting on the sideline.
Devontae had a career game, 134 yards and 6 receptions. Do you look at that as a positive considering all that you guys went through last week?
Yeah, I think he did a great job. I mean, his mindset coming into this game, he was jacked up. He was ready to go, and he knew he was going to be able to play and get in a rhythm. And it wasn't like he's in for a series, he's out for a series. And that's kind of what was going on with us earlier in the season, even when he wasn't playing, where we were rotating those guys, and sometimes that can affect him. He does a good job when he has opportunities to just stay in the game and just keep kind of going through each series. And, you know, when we get him, whether it be across the middle or down the field, he took advantage of it tonight.
When you look at the defense, do you think most of this is the players not doing their job? Or is
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard for me to say right now. That's why I think we need to look at it this weekend and really look at it as, hey, is it scheme? Are we not executing what we're asking them to do? Do we have 5 guys that are off as far as what we're asking them to do? Do we like what we're doing? I mean, we need to really dig deep and figure out, you know, where are these issues coming from? Is it the same guy every time? So, I mean, that's what the good part about having a few days to where you can do that. It's hard to do it when you're going Sunday game, Monday now, you're cleaning up the last game, and this at least gives us a chance to go back and look at big picture.
I feel like you got to insert yourself, I guess, in some of those defensive rooms now that, you know, this is.
I mean, I'll get to that after tonight. You know, I'm not there yet.
Do you feel like, I know Thursday turnaround is quick, but did you have the appropriate time needed to address what was wrong coming from the Lions game?
I mean, we tried to fix it as fast as we could. I mean, we knew there were some issues there that we had last week, and we were just trying to patchwork it up as fast as possible and do some different things to where maybe we could stop the run and not give up any explosive plays. But we didn't do a good enough job of getting it fixed, and we didn't do a good enough job executing what we needed to do.
Down 15, what was the thought process on kicking the field goal there?
Just it was one of those situations where it wasn't feeling good, where we were on third down, we weren't hitting what we were doing, and I was thinking, all right, we get one turnover, let's get some points, let's just try to get it in a situation where if we can get the ball back fairly quick, then maybe we can make it one-score game.
The onside kick suggests that you didn't think you could stop him.
Well, we're trying to get some kind of turnover, you know, and it's just unfortunate that, you know, the ball hits the wire. You know, it's kind of not, didn't have really good luck on that one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're still going through the process of him going through the rehab stuff, so, I mean, I'll worry about that next week.
How much trust do you have in your defensive personnel?
Well, I know those guys work hard, and they try to get everything patched up as fast as possible. I mean, that's why these guys were hired, because, you know, I liked them when we were coming in this situation we were in. When Vance left, I trusted Matt to get this thing going in the right direction and improve from the year before. I think there was a lot of good things that have happened over the last 2 years. We just got to figure out what is our issues. I mean, is it players? Is it scheme? And we have to evaluate that. We can't be afraid to change if we have to.
What's the result you guys figure out that is scheme?
I don't know. I mean, that give me a hypothetical on that one.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the interviews. I hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, if you did, please hit the subscribe button, you know, share it with your friends, post on Facebook, you know, whatever. Hit the like button, and definitely leave me some comments, questions, concerns, anything you'd like to see or hear in the videos, you know, stuff like that. So definitely let me know. And of course, the most important thing is subscribe. So with that said, I'll see you guys soon, and fins up.